left for spring break, we went over family. So, people within the family, describing the people within our family, using numbers again to tell the age of how old the person is. And so, you guys had worked on a family tree. And so, throughout the 3 weeks before spring break, we used the verb tener. And remember that you have so many ages that you are not literally the number, whatever the number is. So you use tener versus ser. And we also use possessive adjectives. Remember that possessive adjectives tell what belongs to someone or to show relationships. And so we use possessive adjectives when we built our family tree. So your possessive adjectives was me, mis, tú, tus, su, sus, nuestro, nuestra, nuestros, nuestras, and then su and sus again. So these are your short possessive adjectives. And so in your family tree, you use them to describe the relationship of you and the person that you were talking about. You use the verb tener to tell how old that person is or was, as well as your age as well. Remember that adjectives must agree in gender and in number, and so whenever we go over the adjectives that end with isimo and isima, you'll also notice that they do have O's for masculine, A's for feminine. And so that was another thing that we had gone over to complete your family tree. We also talked about your hero. You made a short paragraph of who your hero is and who they are, what they do. And so for this week, we're going to go over adjectives that end with isimo and isima. We'll go over the verb venir. Again, you have ser versus estar. Before we left for spring break, we went over diminutives. And so, diminutives in Spanish, you add the suffix ito, ita to give the meaning of small or little. And so, in another way you can use it is by showing affection. And so, we went over how abuelo or abuela can be abuelito, abuelita. In a way, you're showing affection to grandmother, grandfather, but also you're making them smaller, so diminutive. Same thing with the example that we use with perro. You could say perito, so little dog, or you could say puppy. And so the other ending that we're going to go over is isimo and isima. So isimo conveys or gives the idea of extremely. So in the example in your book, it has un chico muy guapo, a good looking guy. If we want to say this guy is extremely good looking, then you would say un chico guapísimo. If you want to say that this class is difficult, una clase muy difícil, then you would say una clase dificilísima. So extremely difficult. Your adjectives that end with co or ca, they do have an orthographic change and they will change to a qu. After that, you will add the isimo and isima, but again, don't forget your accent on that first I. So if we have unos pasteles muy ricos, then you would say unos pasteles riquísimos. And notice how your O and your A's do drop, but they go at the end. Again, like I keep saying, that your adjectives do have to agree in gender and in number. So since your noun, pasteles, is plural and pasteles is masculine, then your adjective has to be masculine and plural. If your noun was feminine and plural, then your adjective has to be feminine and plural. So there you have a couple of activities that you could do. And so it says, write the following phrases using the correct form of isimo. So you have un perro muy perezoso. So how would you rewrite perezoso? Because that's your adjective. How would you rewrite it? And after that, I do want you to submit that at the end with all of the other activities from today. So I uploaded the vocabulary for Chapter 5A, B, and Tema 5 for those of you who left it at school or probably forgot, things like that. So the first thing that we're going to do, and specifically this goes with Chapter 5B vocabulary, and so they are analogies. So many exams test your vocabulary by asking about the logical relationships or analogies between words. So this is you practicing with the vocabulary. So the symbol colon is used to mean is to. In Spanish is es a. And the symbol with two colons is used to mean as and como. So for example, you have the analogy la madre es a la hija como el padre es al hijo. So we're comparing two things and we're finding the relationship within this analogy. So you would read, like I said, la madre es a la hija como el padre es al hijo. So below you have the example, el modelo. You have trabajador, hard worker, es a, perezoso, lazy, como, alto, which is tall, es a, and then bajo. So you have the comparison and the difference between those two. So you have your likes and your differences. So you have complete these analogies. And this I want you to write down as well, and you will submit it again at the end. So the first one you have aburrido. Aburrido es a interesante. So boring is to interesting. Como largo. And so what would be the word that you would use with largo? Okay, so for the next activity, actividad ocho, you have en el restaurante, in the restaurant. So unfortunately, you're not going to work with a partner. You are going to be person A and person B, and you are going to match the following questions to the alternatives of the mesero or the waiter. So you have these conversations, el camarero and los jóvenes. And so you guys will, if you look on the next page, you have el camarero. So to match the conversation, we have buenas noches, ¿qué desean de bebida? So logically, what would you say if you are greeting someone, and this being the waiter, ¿qué desean de bebida? What would you like to drink? And so look at los jóvenes. And so what you're going to do is practice your speaking by matching what the camarero says, or the mesero, being the waiter, and what the teenagers would say, the young people. So logically, número uno would go with letra G. So para mí, un refresco, y para la señorita, un té helado. Okay, so we're looking at drinks, and so your drinks logically would be letter G. So a soft drink and an iced tea. You are going to have to upload your voice, your recordings in Canvas so that we can listen to you and that you are practicing speaking. Again, this will help you for your 6 weeks exam. You will have to speak. That is 25% of your grade when you take your 6 weeks exam. So definitely practice, look at your vocabulary, constantly look at your vocabulary. Yes, you are at home, so you can take 5-10 minutes every single day to look at your vocabulary. Tomorrow we're going to go over the verb venir and look at the notes from your workbook, and I'll just upload the workbook pages. You can complete them at home, things like that. And then you'll have your homework, and that will be homework page 98 that you can do, and then I'll place that in Skyward where you can see what grades will be due. The only two assignments that you have for this week will be homework 98 and homework 99.